Greetings and salutations. Hello. The start of another week. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm Russ Kane. What's left of him today? God Almighty. And this is the Daily Show exclusive to Men's Radio Station. What a weekend. The worst. Anyway, I'll talk about it perhaps later. I don't know. You know, I like to give the show an international flavor. We go to New York with Elizabeth Green. Yeah. We go to New York State with the big psychological genius that is Azadon Brown. And we go to New Malden with Neil Long.
Greetings. Good afternoon. Welcome to Men's Radio.
Bless you. Bless you. Welcome. Thank you. Did you prepare any tea or anything? You prepared anything at all?
Oh.
Any biscuits? Any buffet? Anything at all?
Well, yes, absolutely. It's all in the green room, as you know.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
You won't believe what I've been doing this morning. I vowed I'd never do this in my life, and I've just done it.
Oh, God. Are you going to be arrested? Are the police going to be knocking on your door?
No, it's completely illegal. Gardening. Me.
Don't be silly. That's childish, and you're on drugs. Gardening. Wow. I find gardening, well, I have a terrace, and I find it very, very therapeutic.
Do you? I hate it.
Oh, okay. I hate most things, but gardening, because you got a proper garden, you got grass and all that. I don't like grass.
Yeah.
Nah, you don't want it.
I had a mental weekend.
I'll swap in a minute.
3 weeks in a row, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We raised £700 for Mind on Friday, which was fantastic. Then did a massive wedding Saturday, did a gig for a bunch of teachers on Thursday, and then tried out some new material last night at a comedy club. Wow, what a weekend. Now here we are.
And how did that go? I'm fascinated. And hi to Asa and hi to Linda. Robert Van Beer. Robert, shut your face. That's all I have to say on the subject. Shut up. No, not happening. He's never offered to come round, trim the bushes here. The heck with that. Yeah. So all our American gang is here. Azadon Brown, Elizabeth Green in Manhattan, Azadon Brown, New York State. Lovely. Morning to you all. Now, I say good morning because it's crack of dawn there. I got home at 4:30 this morning because I've already done one show. That was on Talk TV.
How did that go?
It's always huge fun. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Is that with Petrie?
It is with Petrie Hoskin.
Yes.
And then tonight,
I've never met her. I've been a fan of hers for years.
She's great. And we've become really good friends. And then at 11 o'clock, I'll be Chewing the Fat with Joe Good on BBC London. So it's been a 3-show day, which is for me.
Goodness me, you don't mess about, do you?
Pretty rare. Well, I am the flotsam and jetsam of media life, where they want me. And if they don't. But I do enjoy it. And somebody didn't turn up at Talk TV. Said, "Oh, Russ, come in early." So I went, "Oh, okay." So it was just a lot. It's a lot of fun. And my whole thing is to try and make Petrie crack up, which is virtually impossible. Hi, guys, from a wet and muggy Monday in Fife. Our very, very best to Dave Sleet, whom I think you know. Now, tell us about your week. I want to know what happened. How did the comedy gig go?
It was weird because last week, it's an open mic gig every Sunday. And last week I tried out this stuff and 70% of it went really well. So I did the same 70% this week and it didn't work. And this is the thing, you never ever know when you're a comedian.
Explain to me, this is so interesting and so important and I've never understood it. You do the same gags, you think you're giving it the same energy, the same timing, boom, die on your ass. Die on your ass.
Yeah,
do it the next
it wasn't
time,
quite that bad. I've died worse. But you do it the next time. It's all good feedback, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is. So be really honest, which you always are. Do you think it was because with a gag, it's split-second timing. If that timing is slightly wrong, the gag just falls apart. So what do you think? What do you think happened? Was it just a non-responsive audience? Or
I think what happened was it was a room full of comedians doing that open spot. There was only about 2 audience in there. The rest were comedians. I saw a brilliant Edinburgh preview, a lady called Lucy Frederick who did an hour. She was fan-bloody-tastic. Yep. Absolutely fantastic. And there was an Indian chap, and I can't remember his name, forgive me, and it was his first gig ever. and he absolutely stormed it. Absolutely brilliant. It just goes that way. But I'm loving it. I'm loving being back in the stand up.
I want you to do this for me, Neil, because of this. La 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 la. Do that for me.
La 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 la.
Yeah, this is T Green. He's the top vocal coach in the country, as far as I'm concerned. Him and Carrie. Yeah, T and I go way back. T's one of those guys. He looks like he's been sent round by a gang to kill you, and he's the loveliest, sweetest, and he's ridiculously talented.
Yeah, I know a guy like that. He's a DJ. He's really, really good. He's always booked. You can never get him because he's so good, but he looks like a serial killer.
Oh, Pat Sharp.
No!
Nick Brown.
Pat Sharp still looks about 15. I really envy him.
Pat Sharp still looks exactly the same as when we worked with him back in the 80s.
He looks really, really good. He's got the young genes, isn't he?
Here we are from Lloyd Beanie. I have a tattoo of the former Princess of Wales on my buttock. Die on my ass.
Oh, seriously? Go and stand in the corner, Lloyd.
Beanie boy. Dave Sleet, greetings one and all. Not our pop pickers, all right. Out of Unit 1 into Unit 2, all right. Dave Sleet, who's going through hell on earth at the moment. He is so brave. He is so full of fortitude. He has my endless admiration. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, good for you,
quite
Dave.
Extraordinary. Anyway, T Green, I hope you're all right. I never made it down to the coast to see you because a thing called COVID got in the way. And now my life is just so full. I don't know if I can take the time off, but I'd like to. It'd be nice to see you again. And this in from your pal,
John Yates, LDF Graphic Design, brilliant T-shirt printing company. Hello to you.
Oh, is he now?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to speak.
Do you?
Well, I'd quite like to do. And what does everybody think? I'd quite like, and I've been talking about it for years, and then COVID kind of killed everything. I'd quite like to do some men's radio station merchandise.
Talk to John and his brother Martin. They're really good. It's a new company as well. It'd be lovely to support them.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking, what do you think, gang? Do you want some like a T-shirt or something, or a hat, or men's radio station condoms? That would be the thing. I don't know. I absolutely no idea. But you and I can perhaps talk off air about it. And coming in straight from America, and they know what have we got here. We can do that.
Of course you can.
It depends on the price, John. It depends on the price, dear boy. And Azadon Brown from New York State. Excellent day. Okay, well, I keep talking about it, and then we never get around to doing it. Really should doing it. Your weekend, it's so interesting. Now, tell me, from a mental attitude, when the 70% of the gags didn't work and you came off stage, were you stoic about it, or what were you?
I went on with a kind of false confidence because I was expecting it to work. And when it didn't, I wouldn't say it didn't. I think it was just the dynamic of the room, because I do believe in the material, because it has worked in the same room with a slightly different mix of people. But it's that you never can tell. You never, ever, ever can tell. They say in comedy you should do the three strikes. If you chuck a joke out 3 times and it doesn't work, drop it. I've got 3 piles. I've got the hell yes pile, the yes but needs work, and the no pile.
I like the way John Yates straight in with his marketing. We could do hats, T-shirts, hoodies, and cups.
Oh, he's a shameless self-promoter.
I like him. I like him straight away. He's like,
I do
absolutely
too.
Bloody shameless.
He's a good lad.
Shameless. Don't care. Every time on Twitter, somebody says, "Could anybody recommend a book, please?" And I just shove in the pictures of the gatekeeper and go, "Shameless promo. Here you go." I don't care. That's the only way you got to do it. And do you know what? The top authors like Janice Hallett, the people who are number 1, number 2 in the Sunday Times best-selling list, all do it. We all I'm not deciding with them because they're huge successes, and I'm still struggling with book number 3. But you've all got to do it. And if you think, I bet the really big shots don't promote this, they promote the backside out of it. I can tell you, all of them.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen people come off stage absolutely mortified when their stuff doesn't work. I was just like, oh, that's weird. But then I remember this has happened to me before, even doing headline acts locally. I was on the same bill once as Paul Sinner. The Chaser.
The Cinnamon, of course, the
Cinnamon. Yeah, and I did a gig there, and it was kind of meh. And I did exactly the same jokes a couple of days later at another venue. Absolutely stormed it. It's the oddest thing. It is the oddest thing. You never ever can tell.
Peculiar thing. I once
But I do, but from a mental health point of view, there really is no failure. It's only feedback. Oh, that didn't work.
If you can get to that stage in your head, and what Neil is saying is really crucial. It doesn't just apply to doing stand-up comedy, which we both do, but it applies to really anything. If you let it crush you, it will destroy you. And if you just say, oh, screw that, it didn't work. Okay, next time. But it's really hard. I mean, you have to dig damn hard because it's very hard not to take it personally.
It's when you're putting yourself out there. It's like the most, I suppose, the most creative part of ourselves is also the most sensitive. And you put that out there, and if it doesn't work, it can feel a little bit crushing. But again, it comes down to that. There really is no failure. It's only feedback. And wouldn't you rather know? Wouldn't you rather know what didn't work?
It's true, but it's not it's not really comparing apples and apples, because that material that you could say we're going to throw out could then work the next time. That is the problem. But I think if it completely bombs 3 times, you just got to say, boom, you got to go.
I don't think it will bomb 3 times, because I've used it. Some of it I've used for years, and some of it I've used last week and it worked. Dave Sleet says learning the craft builds the resilience, the best part to coping with the negative moments. But they are moments. That's right. It is only a moment. And there's been people doing it way longer than me, and even they're still on the learning curve, and that's okay. The 3 P's comes in useful if we're talking about mental health. This comes from positive psychology. 3 P's: pervasive, personal, and permanent. So take any situation in your life. Okay. Is it pervasive? Yep. Is it personal? Yep. Is it permanent? And generally they're not. It's very rare you'll find something that is personal, is pervasive, in other words, all-encompassing, and forever permanent. That's really, really rare. And if you've done something good, you can turn it around the opposite way, and you can say, well, I did that. That's permanent. That's pervasive, and I did that. That's personal. So you can use it both ways round.
It's interesting.
The 3 Ps, that's a useful one.
It's really, really interesting you say that. But the other thing I would say, I rarely give out advice on any of these shows, because I've always said we leave it to the experts. Myself, Neil, Phil, Dave, the lovely Demisa, all of us. We don't give advice out, because I just think that's totally wrong. We're not. We're not. Who was the bloke who did all those DNA tests?
But we can share positive principles, though, can't we?
Yeah, but one of the important things is you got to get straight back on the horse. You got to get straight back on it. If you are doing, let's say, it doesn't really matter, but use stand-up as an example, or use writing, use anything that you're doing. T. Green with vocal coaching or something like that, and you get kicked back, or with his singing career, you get kicked back. If you fester on it, you won't get back to it, because it builds into this freaking huge mountain.
Can you take the feedback? Can you use the feedback and then move on? That's the thing. Or do you see feedback as failure and then fester?
I never mind criticism. When I was putting together the shows, which I can't believe 3 years ago was the last time I did stand-up, which was at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Remember, you've had an invite to a whole lot of comedy to come and do some.
What's that?
You've had an invite
from
the
owners.
Well,
talking about it. You've got to be more concrete and say, "Are you free this day?" I'll go, "Yeah, I'd love to."
I mean, I'm seeing them tonight. I'll get them to get in touch.
All right, I'll leave that in as you're my agent, and the usual £50,000 appearance fee.
Thank you, darling.
And you get 0.0%. Hey, here we go. This is interesting. This is coming in from. I'll come back to you in a minute. So Elizabeth Green in Manhattan saying, "Yeah, beat myself up for years, forgave myself." Well,
beat yourself up for what?
Well, a lot of stuff. I mean, that's an entire 8 shows in itself, I promise you.
Okay.
And Sue Sleet is saying, promoting Dave Sleet's book, published under Davy Falco, Finding My Peace. Sue, you can't just throw that in. I want to know more about it. Now, what is this from lovely Demisa, who I spoke to a few moments for the show, but she could not be. Let's just have a look and see what this is. Would you like to read this out?
Oh, my goodness me.
Serious stuff.
Not anything you planned on today. Just seeing this on Facebook. It's had no publicity at all, and it is, I think, shocking. Rachel Clark at Dr. Well, this is chilling. The UK government has quietly just removed sexual and reproductive health and rights and bodily autonomy from a multinational statement committing to the fundamental rights of women and girls. Why exactly abortion is a human right? Can we have that in English? Sorry, I've just read that. And I need to.
Do you not understand what they're saying? Do you understand what Leslie's saying?
Yeah. Can you translate that into?
I'll explain it.
Can you mansplain it to me?
I'll mansplain it. Well, Neil, patronizing means talking down to someone.
To my level, I know.
No,
I'm Millie a Minion.
I hate all that rubbish. What Leslie is saying is that if you take away sexual and reproductive health and rights and bodily autonomy, you don't have the rights over your own body. This is all about women. It doesn't apply to men, which is why it's so damn unfair. All of these laws and all of these abortion things, the guys have got a get out of jail free card every damn time, and it's the women.
It's an incredible double standard.
Absolute attack on women.
And I don't see how stale male and pale white men, white middle-aged men, can decide what is right for a woman's body. I saw a brilliant Facebook meme, and it said, it was done in the style of a Bible quote, and it said, "He that hath no fallopian tube should shut his F up."
Yeah. Give me that quote again. What was the quote?
"He that hath no fallopian tubes
no.
should shutteth the F up."
Precisely so. I don't think they have the. I think it's shocking, but you know, in this rages in America. Now, there's somebody I follow a lot on YouTube. Huge show he's got. His name's Stephen Crowder, and you either love him or you hate him. I mean, there's no middle ground. It's called Louder with Crowder.
Okay.
I watch the show most days. Sometimes I sit there and going, oh, what the hell are you talking about? And sometimes I think, my God, you're absolutely right. You're a genius. And he's got a little gang around him. There's a great comedian called Dave Landau, who I tweet with most days. And this all comes out of Texas now, although Stephen Crowder originally is Canadian. And they're very right-wing, but not... I just want to position this. When you say that, I don't mean they're Yahoo lunatics with swastikas tattooed on their arms, driving pickup trucks and wearing, camouflage outfits.
Right.
It's not that at all. They're politic. They're highly eloquent. They're not extremists, etc., etc., etc. But where I cannot get with them, and we exchange a lot of comments and stuff, their view of guns is extraordinary. I mean, it's someone coming from the United Kingdom.
What is their view? What we'd expect? Well,
let me put it into perspective. Stephen does his show. Stephen, we've never met, but he does his show. He wears a shoulder holster with a gun,
right? And
on the desk is a Walther PPK on a stand. That's how he makes his statement. And they are pro guns completely, and at the same time, and this is why I get so confused, Neil. They are totally anti-abortion to the point that they think it's murder. And you think, and these are not old guys. We're not talking about Rush Limbaugh, people like that. These are guys in their 30s, very worldly. I think
when you know your colours well and truly to a mast, it can become so rigid, kind of fundamentalist in their belief, like a fundamentalist religion, and there's no flexibility to it. And I don't think abortion should be used willy-nilly, but I think it should be done. If I was making the abortion laws, I would form a panel of enlightened, forward-thinking women, right? And it would be a case by case by case basis. What if someone had been sexually attacked? What about this? What about that? You just have one blanket rule, and it will never work. It ends up cutting the person to fit the cloth.
There's a case in America, and sometimes you can say, well, let's just take this argument ad absurdum or ad extremis to the nth degree. But this is an actual case in America. There's a 9-year-old kid. She could have been younger, but the oldest she was 9, right, raped by her father.
Oh, my.
After years of abuse, and is pregnant by her father. And the law is suddenly saying, oh, no, she can't have an abortion. She's 9 years old.
And that's my point.
What planet are you
on? That is my point. That is cutting a person to fit the cloth. Where's the common sense? Where's the compassion? The law is there to protect.
By her father.
I know.
So when the baby comes, like, what? She's 9 years old. She's going to look after but the whole thing is so stomach churning.
That's screwed. That is absolutely screwed up.
This is coming in from Paul Claridge, he of Putney fame now, no longer East Croydon. So we've lost that comedy gold. Would you like to read this?
I will. There's a brilliant American musician called Raina Del Cid. She's brilliant, and I've met her a few times. After the Wade versus Roe debacle, this is on Netflix, by the way, Raina rewrote and performed a brilliant version of My Country.
My Country, 'Tis of Thee, I think it is. Or My Country, it's a sort of big American country ballad. I think, if I've got it right, Paul, you can always join in. I'm just thinking, do we want to try a little experiment? Do we? But it's 50-50. I'm offering it. I could put the link up and people, instead of just messaging, but I don't want you to be going on for like half an hour about your personal angst, right? I just don't. I just wonder if we put the link up, which I've never done before, but I have to trust everybody, but I can get rid of you. You could join the show in vision as well as just. Do you want me to try that just for once or not?
That would be lovely. I wonder if my colleague Ellie is listening. I did the breakfast show on Radio Jackie this morning.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. All right.
Ellie fills in for Nikki, and she's on a train to Birmingham. So if you're listening, Ellie, come and join us.
I've never done this before. I am trusting everybody here. There you go. If you click on that, you can join the show. I've never done this before.
Click on what? I can't see it.
It's on the comments. Men's radio station. I've sent the StreamYard thing. All right, Lee, I know what I do. I'll do it as a banner. La la la.
I beg your pardon. It is there. Sorry.
Let me do it as a banner. I'm going to do it as a create a banner. Give me a sec. I can't believe I'm doing this, but we'll give it a go. Look, it's an experiment. It's an experiment. So let's just see what happens. Right. If you click on that, but you need headphones or earphones, like when you wander around with your phone, and either a laptop or a phone. Give it a go. You got to have good. I'll leave that up. Let's see what happens.
And we're chatting about mental health and well-being.
That's it. I don't want you to come on and start raving and ranting about politics and all this. I'm not interested.
No.
Keep it. You know how the show works. You know how Neil and I work. So keep it within those parameters. It would be lovely, especially our American chums, especially Asa. If you're near when you're on the computer, it'd be great. I'd love it. See, I don't feel comfortable as a bloke, and I'm not like this. I mean, you've known me for 30 years or so. I'm not comfortable talking about abortion. I don't think it's my right to do that.
No,
I really don't. I think it's a woman's
middle-aged, stale, pale male white men can decide.
It doesn't matter if you're white or black or Chinese. It doesn't matter.
All right, yeah, but particularly white men. Well, actually, that doesn't really matter.
Why? What is all that about? Seriously, why are we going down that route?
Because generally, the people who decide this are
the lawmakers in America. Yeah,
that's the only reason why I'm saying white. It's generally the American lawmakers. That's all I mean by that. It's not a race thing. It's just the demographic. But I don't see how. I agree with you. How men can decide what's right for a woman's body. Is this a patriarchal hangover or something? It must be.
Why are we going backwards? We're going backwards in terms of women's rights. Yeah. I mean, God, how long have they thought this since Emily Pankhurst? Come on, for God's sake, this is ridiculous. Yeah. We're now going backwards. What's that? Why are we going? We're going backwards in race relations, without a doubt. We were better off 10 years ago than we are now. I firmly believe that. I think race relations are really at a nadir at the moment. And we just everything feels as though it is very, very odd. Why is there this move? Why is there this trend to reverse all the wonderful advances? The wonderful advances. We can't go back to the 1940s, 1950s.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder why anyone would want that. Is it because people fear change so much that they just default back to the original factory settings, if you like?
You think it is? I don't know. It says. Oh,
what do you think? Post your comments on the timeline. We'd love to hear from you. Lovely Demazer. I've started calling her Lovely Demazer now. I've copied that from you. I hope that's all right.
No, she loves it. It's
okay. Lovely Demazer. Thank you so much for putting this in the public eye. Well, why not?
Why not? Well, why not? Now we got this. This is another one for you, Neil. Blimey, he's written a book. Go on.
Paul says, Paul Claridge of Putney.
Oh, you've done this? You've done the first bit.
Okay, I think this is the second bit.
Oh, here we
yes.
go. All right.
After the Wade versus Roe debacle, she rewrote, this is Raina Del Cid, an American musician who he's met a couple of times, and performed her version of My Country 'Tis of Thee. You can see it on YouTube. Some of her American so-called fans that previously sung her praises rounded on her for supporting the rights of women to control what happens to their own bodies. The trolling Raina had was obnoxious, but she called out the trolls and told them they won't silence her. Yeah, fair play.
It is just... I'm dazzled by it, and I don't understand it. I mean, I just simply don't understand it. As I said, it's an experiment. If you fancy doing it, no pressure whatsoever. We don't do call-ins because that's a whole technical whole thing. But if you copy and paste that, you can be seen and heard. If I like the look of you,
who's gonna dare to join us live on air? Who's gonna dare?
I like your attitude.
Dare you? Oh, my producer's gesticulating at me. Are you coming in?
Yeah, I'll come in.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord, God. Just when things were going badly. I love the way suddenly you're producer. I love this. This is just genius. Just
a
genius.
Producer, not slave.
No, I like that, but I don't. My producer. It's very good, very impressive.
I'm a famous showbiz star. I deserve a producer.
Yeah, you are a major. Pat Sharp probably has people to help him. Well, he has Monica.
Indeed,
she helps him. I mean, I don't understand. As I said, I don't understand this. Here we go. Oh, Dave Sleet liking this. Cockroaches always run from the light. Keep shining a light, and show the roaches for who they are. The problem is, Dave Sleet, when the cockroaches get into power and they control the torch, or for our American chums, the flashlight, they're not going to be shining it on themselves, are they? That ain't going to happen. I keep saying, and I say it with no joy whatsoever. No one's actually ever argued with me that I always think America is a heartbeat away from a second civil war. And I mean it. They're armed to the teeth. The divisions are absolutely, there is no middle ground. No middle ground at all. There's none of these points they can say, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll shake hands and we'll agree to, no. Guns.
Yes, why has it become so polarized? Why is it this versus that? Why is there not a nuance? Why is there not a blending of middle ground?
It's gone. That middle ground is gone completely. And
I'm not a Buddhist. I'm not a Buddhist, but Buddhists have a concept of the middle way, which is the balance, the middle way. And I like that. And generally I find most things are pretty good on the middle way, because you get a bit of both and it balances nicely.
Well, I just find it very, very odd. There we are. What's I heard of? Ladies and gentlemen, our very first guest.
Good afternoon.
Trying out. Good afternoon.
You're going to have to go in another room, Ken, otherwise we're going to get feedback.
Yeah, go. There's a room up the road for rent.
Yeah.
I've got the best view.
That's very. Oh, we like this. Suddenly, we've got an outside broadcast reporter.
Yeah, you can see the gardening I was doing earlier. This is
Ken
Evans.
No, let's do it properly. Like pretend we were a big, huge station. And now, with a preview of the Chelsea Flower Show, it's our horticultural expert, Ken. Ken, what's the show like this year?
Don't show them the dodgy plants I'm growing at the back.
Well, as you can see, Neil's been making some wonderful mess.
Yeah. It's see, that's as far as we
and
go. Oh no, he's back. Yeah. This is working well.
The rest to be cleared up, but he's getting there.
Well, yeah, but Christmas is only 4 months away, so get a bloody move on. Is that fields behind you, Ken? Over?
No, it's not. It's just a clever camera angle. It's literally my back garden. It's nowhere near as big as it looks on there.
It looks freaking huge.
I love this report. Just tuned in. Charlie Dimmock has changed a bit.
Well, Charlie Dimmock. I always enjoyed her, but I was never obsessed with her. People were obsessed. They thought she was the most gorgeous thing. I'm like, well, I quite like her shows, but it's weird. It's weird. Ken, are you back now, Ken? Yes. Let's try this. Is going terribly well, this experiment. Okay, Ken, back. Over to you. All right, over to you. We want to hear from you. Ladies and gentlemen, live from New Malden, it's Ken on the line.
Good afternoon. This is just a little test, and I'm in Neil Long's garden, which is very nice indeed, and it's nice and muggy here in South London.
It's Monday everywhere, Ken. It's Monday
No,
everywhere.
I said we're in
not
South
just Monday,
London.
Not just Monday. Oh, muggy. Sorry.
But it works. Your link actually works.
Yeah, but don't sound so surprised that just because I got it to did something right.
Ken and I talk about mental health an awful lot, and there's a real kind of mental health thing going on with me and Ken. We support each other in mental health, and that is a great thing. That is an absolute great thing. It's just feeling that having a common purpose with someone, and it can be with as many people as you like, but just sort of having someone's back, keeping an eye on their mental health, and doing things that promote mental health, basically having a lot of fun and growing old disgracefully.
I say this, and I say it seriously, and I'm not always that serious, especially after a 4:30 in the morning start. It's 2 o'clock in the morning start. It's so important to have somebody that you can really, really unload to and talk properly with, and who will give you the time. And I have a tiny handful of people that I would do, because I don't want people to say, "Oh Christ, I spoke to Russ." Gee.
No, me too.
I don't want that.
I want them on one hand. And you can't go to all people for all things. I have different friends that I go to for different things. And I think that's healthy.
I know. But, so Ken, how long have you been do you feel it helps you having Neil?
Yeah, no, I've known Neil for many years, and unfortunately for me, my family's had a history of mental illness. My mother did for 30 years, so I had experience that I thought could help Neil, and Neil's helped me, because dealing with those sort of situations for so long, you gain a lot of experience, but it also takes its toll on you.
Do you feel, can I ask you, and by the way, Ken, I hope you know me well enough by now, know how the show works. If you don't feel like answering, so I don't want to go there. Were you in fear that somehow your mother's mental illness might be handed down to you through genes or whatever?
No, not really.
Good. Good.
It never struck me that way, but I've always had a slightly 5-year-old attitude to life, just to try and brush things off. But sometimes it does get to us. And I think everybody needs support. And unfortunately, I was going through some terrible times at the same time as Neil, but we've helped each other since the end of lockdown, really. And Neil's given me a lot, and hopefully I've helped Neil.
No, he says you've given very little. He says you've given very little, Ken. I'll be honest with you. He writes to me often. He writes me
thin
long
ice,
letters.
Russ Kane, thin ice. You're not funny.
Yeah, not the first time I've been told that. I am the person who does not see "keep off the grass" signs. I always say, when someone's going, I say, "Did you not see the keep off the grass sign?"
No.
I think it's fantastic that you have this, but it does entail a huge amount of trust. And trust is something I have a huge problem with. I don't trust easily.
It does. Trust is really super important. But when you've got that trust, you can. It's just nice to know that life isn't a do-it-yourself project, and other people have your back, and we combine skills, and we have a lot of fun, and we teach DJing. Me and Ken. Ken is also, I'll spare his blushes, but he's also a very good DJ. So we've got
technically, he's bloody brilliant. I got to tell you.
Technically, he's a genius.
He's a whiz.
You ever got any problems with your computer? Get in touch with Ken.
He's like Phil Dave, but he doesn't live at home. That's the difference.
What?
He's like Phil Dave, but he doesn't live at home. Now, Elizabeth, this is American bullshit. What are you talking about? I trust everyone and no one. No, Elizabeth.
Now, you're going to have to explain that, Elizabeth.
No, Elizabeth Green, you're much smarter than that. You've been in New York too long. Don't just throw that out. That's just crap. You know it. Come on. What do you mean I trust everyone and no one? It's got to be one of the two. Right. This is from Lee Durnford, who I have a huge amount of time and respect for.
This is interesting. I've reached out to a lot of people in the last 6 months. They've all helped me. Isn't it great that we can get different things from different people and be of value to each other in all these interconnected ways? They've all helped me. I've even reached out to a total stranger, which was enlightening. I'd love to hear a bit more about that. Do you mean a therapist or literally just a random person, Lee?
I think that was not a therapist. I think that was an actual stranger. Let's dash across to Dave's sleep. Not raining in the garden, is it?
In my humble opinion, the US psyche reminds me of a proverbial adolescent that's scared of its own shadow, raised behind the barrel of a gun, the myth of snake oil. Now, that's an interesting one because there is a certain talk in some circles that human beings are kind of the adolescents of the universe. We're kind of going through throwing our toys out the pram phase. We're not very mature, universally speaking, apparently.
Remember one thing about America, and I'm so thrilled this is working because on comes Lee Durnford. Hi, Lee.
Hello, Lee.
Hi, Lee.
I don't know how to turn this thing off so you don't get feedback.
No, perfect. No, it's perfect.
I don't get stuck with this until 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I'd answer your question, Neil. The total stranger was a person that I went around to do a little handyman job for. She reached out on our sort of community page, and I went around there and met her.
Yeah.
Lovely lady. Fun enough, she makes all of the amazing garments for the West End shows that you see out there. Yeah, she's amazing. She lives down the road.
God, it must be interesting going around her house.
It was, yeah. She had a massive shed in the back garden. She was making Belle's, Belle out of Beauty and the Beast's dress.
Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I got talking to her and we struck up sort of a little friendship where we just really got on. And then I went through this pretty bad patch at the beginning of the year, and I funny enough, I told her about it, and she said, "Well, come around and have a chat." She said, "I know a lot about that because I've been through that kind of stuff." So I went round for a chat with her and sort of laid it on the table, and she gave me some really good advice. It's interesting because everybody else that I've spoken to, obviously family, friends, they've all been really supportive, but it's always interesting to get somebody else's view that doesn't really know you.
Yeah.
Yes, and if they've been through it, they've turned. I love this term. They've turned the healing corner, so they've been through it, and I love the term "turning the healing corner." They're then in a place to help other people.
Yeah, exactly. They've been through it, and they kind of know what worked for them, and they can say, "Well, try this and try that and try this."
Exactly.
So that's exactly what I did, and now I'm safe to say I'm back on the track. So it's.
I was going to ask you in a better headspace now.
Yeah, much better headspace.
I mean, your messages, Lee. I mean, I was quite concerned for a while because I could see I didn't know what the details were, and it was not my case, not my place to ask. I thought that would have been intrusive. But your messages, over the last few months have really been on the rise, and it's been good to see you kind of resurfacing, because whatever you went through, no idea what it was. It's not my place to ask. Clearly, you seem to be getting through the other side and back up and at them.
Well, as I said before, I'm quite happy to talk about that at a different time, because I think it would be really useful for people to hear, because they might be going through the same thing. I mean,
exactly. You're turning the healing corner. Yeah, we'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, I'd love to come back and do that. So we'll set up.
Let's set that up. Let's set that up for next week. This is interesting.
This is so good. This came from a female friend of mine. I was just talking about what I do here with you, Russ, and she said, well, it's just great, even if you're just having a simple conversation, because then men can see that it is okay to talk at this level, because men are not encouraged to do this. And, when you look at suicide rates and, all kinds of, difficult things that men go through, and women, of course, but just to demonstrate that it is okay, it is safe, it is okay for men to talk like this, literally could save someone's life if they tuned in at the right moment. Oh my God, I never thought I could do that. I never thought I could open up. I didn't think it was safe.
And I think
that's a great thing.
Go on, Ken.
I've found that if you reach out to people, and Neil knows it as well, that people are generally very receptive to help. It's just that they've become afraid with today's news media to reach out. And my phone's going all day some days, which drives me mad. But it's also a joy, because people just need a little bit of help, be it with their computers or just doing something simple. And that's all. Anything like that does mental health good, because it relaxes people's minds.
And being busy is good for your mental health as well, isn't it, Ken? I've learned about you.
Oh yeah, I'm just far too hyperactive. I've got too many things going on. It's years of having to dash between hospitals and things. I can't get out the habit.
But you've got a great energy. Your energy is fantastic. Your energy is very high.
How's work for you, Lee?
It's getting much better. I'm getting much more involved in the new project I'm on, and that you hit the nail on the head, there, Neil, about being busy is good for your mental health, but saying that, I was always a busy guy before kind of hit the wall last November. I was always a busy guy, just didn't sit down. And then I hit the wall, and then I didn't want to do anything.
Did you burn out?
Yeah, basically.
I did. That's the only caveat I was going to put in. Being busy is great, unless you're in burnout, when it's not.
Yeah.
So let me ask you both. I'm going to start with Lee first and then Neil. So pretend you're a guest, Neil. How did the burnout manifest itself? What did you do while it was lasting, and how did it end? Lee first.
How does it manifest itself?
Yeah, just one day you're working, and then what?
It was juggling too many balls at the same time. 2, it was a work issue, and 3, I guess it was a relationship issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you get all 3, like some awful sort of emotional tsunami, it's pretty hard to keep swimming through that. Yeah, I think you're good.
I had to run for it long enough, and I just sort of just gave up. Just said, "Nah, I've had enough." But that was that.
See, yeah, and Neil, you've got a really 2 very, very interesting posts have come in. One from, that's why I love this show. One from New York State and one from the south of Spain.
Yeah, we'll do those in a sec. Burnout for me, I was doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 radio shows a week, plus doing discos, mobile disco business, plus running said disco business. And then my mum started to get ill because my dad had died in 2014. And then watching her degenerate into dementia, which dementia is like an illness which kind of pretends it doesn't exist.
The worst.
So I didn't even know if I was right or wrong that she had dementia. It's like dementia goes, I don't exist. Remember me? I don't exist. I blogged all about it. Anyway, got it all out, but it's a weird thing. But for me, I was sitting down the pub, oddly for me, working, and I was staring at my computer screen, editing, and I've edited 1,000 times. I can edit with my eyes shut, and I just looked at it and thought, I can't do it. I can't. I knew how to, I just couldn't do it. And it was like kind of zombie dead eyes, and the thought of making a cup of tea became a monumental decision.
Oh, yeah, been there.
And it was just one day at a time. It was like it's very common, particularly in the caring professions as well. And it's only a relatively recent diagnosis, burnout, but it is real. It is a thing, definitely.
It is real. I found I couldn't retain things, so I would read an email, and then the next day somebody would say to me, "Oh, did you see that email from so and so yesterday?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I did, but I've got no idea what it said."
Yeah.
Very hard to concentrate.
It's like working memory is frazzled.
It's frazzled, yeah.
Absolutely frazzled. So yeah, I completely understand that. Reading an email or trying to read a book and then what did I just read? Oh, I can't even remember. You know, that kind of thing, and going back and back again.
Let me ask, as you've both and Ken, I don't know whether you had burnout on.
Yeah, I had it in. It sort of hit me in September. My father was taken by COVID, and my mother had died of a few years earlier, and it suddenly I started to feel not myself in about September, and one day I came around to Neil's to pick something up, and that was it. I was just destroyed at that point. I felt like I'd lost absolutely everything, my home, everything.
We had a good old chat, and sort of been rebuilding it and getting old disgracefully ever since.
Oh yeah, and you're going to join in, Russ.
And I'm there. Let me ask you all this question. I'm so pleased this has happened, and thank you guys for joining, Neil and myself. Is it when you hit that wall, and I'll come on to all the messages in a minute, don't worry, I see it. Is it best to just say, I've got to stop now, because whatever I do, my work will be rubbish, or what I'm going to give back to my company, it's all going to be fifth rate, and take a breather, or do you just have to keep plowing on? I mean, what's the best thing?
The dilemma I had was
all right.
I had to keep bringing money in. That was the thing.
Well, we all do.
But at the same time, what I needed most of all was just to stop, because we're not trained to do that. We're taught nose to the grindstone 24/7, and it's not wise. It really isn't wise. I constantly preach to my daughter about taking downtime. You know, and the more exertion you do, you need an equal balance of downtime. And it was just all one way with me. Sorry, I jumped in there.
Now let's, Lee, what's your view? Stop.
For me, it was I was just worried about where I left the projects I was on. So I was more worried about the company rather than myself. And when I spoke to the health advisor or the occupational health advisor chap that the company put onto me, he said, "Look, the company you work for isn't going to crash and fall because you have 3 months off. It's not. So go and get yourself better, and then come back stronger."
Good.
So that's what I did.
And without saying anything, so I don't want to embarrass Lee, and I'm not naming any names, so relax. Lee is part of an enormous organization on huge projects, the sort of thing which I won't say on air, and you go, oh my God, I mean, it's massive. So we're not talking about a local fruit shop where I'll take a bit of time off, or it's a big bloody big deal. Right, let's go through some of these, if I may be so bold. Azadon Brown from New York State, which goes, Elizabeth Green, learning to trust others is an important aspect of being human. We should not avoid dispensing trust. Rather, we should be selective in our trust. The problem with that, Asa, and I agree, is when you get burnt, you get very gun shy, to mix my metaphors. Dave Sleet, hence APA's Yellow Heart Team Initiative, which is great. Now, this is coming in from the southern Spain. Would you like to read this?
Michael Verby, good afternoon. Sorry, missed the start of the show. You seem to be discussing the root cause of mental illness. Not exactly what we were discussing, but close enough. Whether it's genetic or not, I don't know. But as you may recall, both my parents had their problems, and Stacey and I have also had our struggles. I think maybe if you're brought up in an atmosphere of permanent angst, as we were, it rubs off.
I could not agree more. Let me give you some context with this. Michael Verby's mum and dad, Malcolm and Anita, were my parents' best friends. So I've known Michael Verby and his sister Stacey since they were babies. And my parents were very nervy. My dad never was. And then he dropped of a heart attack right in front of me when I was about 6 or 7. And after that heart attack, he was never the same man again. Right. And I think Michael's making a really good point. It's not that it's genetic and it's going to affect your genes. It's that it's was it nurture and nature? It's the nurture.
I think the genetic determinism was an idea that came in sort of about the 80s. Oh, it's in the family, it's genetic, it's definitely going to happen to me. And that's been disproved by some really brilliant people like Bruce Lipton, who wrote a book called The Biology of Belief. And he's taken it a stage further into epigenetics. So it is more the environment, and genes are not be all and end all. They're signposts, and they can be turned on or off given the environment, or more accurately, our perception of the environment.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we have to talk about it another time. Elizabeth Green.
Will you excuse me? I'm going to go and let Ken in because he needs to be in a different room, and it's just started raining.
I'll leave him out there.
It's okay, Neil. It's okay. I'm fine. I'm under a tree.
Are you all right?
You don't get this.
Let me know if you want me to let you in.
It's interesting what Michael said about being genetic, because my mum's mum took her own life when mum was 7.
Oh dear.
And then I remember my mum going through a patch of depression, really strong depression, when I was about, 12, 13. She wasn't in a very good way, and we was all worried about what she was going to do then. My dad looked after her then. She came through it, and unbeknown to me, when I spoke to my father and mum about what I was going through earlier on in the year, my dad opened up a book himself and said, look, I went through that as well, Lee. And I got through it with mum's support. They both supported each other, obviously both married, so they would. But I didn't know anything about my dad's depression. I didn't know. He just shielded it completely from us children.
Exactly. It's that stiff upper lip. Like, I remember when I was going through it, and I didn't want to share too much with my daughter, who I cherish, but I didn't feel it was her problem. And I felt I should be so much of a better dad. What is going on with me? And that was part of the impetus for me to get better, because I wanted to, obviously enjoy being with her and watching her grow and all that sort of thing, and to be her dad, not sort of, dithering mess. But it just shows that I found it hard to talk about. There was that shame, I suppose, that kind of shame where I felt
I get that.
I get
that.
I've got 3 daughters, 16, 20, and 22. And they've definitely all seen me cry in the last 6 months.
And how did they react to that, Lee?
Well, once I told them why, they understood it, and they were comforting and very supportive. Definitely the older 2. the younger one, she's 16. You know, she was a bit puzzled about it, and you know, he thought, "Oh, Dad's strong; he'll get through it." So I guess, you know, stick up a lip kind of thing. But yeah, they reacted really well to it. You know, and we've all been there for each other. They've had really bad moments as well. So
that's great.
It is true. I suppose as a bloke, you don't want to let your kids see you in what I call kit form. You want them to see, you know, as dad who can solve everything. And I've always said, well, I can't, you know, do my best, but that's it. Coming in from New York State, I understand. I have been severely burnt in life. We must not allow these events to mask our perceptions and worldviews. It's a painful process, but like all wounds, we will learn from these events, but don't allow the events to define you.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's just an event, and how we respond to the event. It doesn't change you, who you are at core. I saw this lovely quote. It was, first we were refined, then we were defined. No, hang on a minute. No, it'll come to me in a minute. No, I'll come back to it.
I was having this, and I wonder where, and I'm going to ask Lee first, then Ken, then Neil. I was having this, because the recent pictures of Prince Harry, I'm not getting into the whole Meghan thing, but Prince Harry, I mean, he looks like the poster boy for depression. I mean, he looks dreadful. And people said, well, you know, his mother died. And I said, well, my twins' mum died when they were 5 years old. It did not define their lives. You have a choice. And it's horrible, and it's sad, and it's depressing, and it's hugely emotional. But they did not let it define who they have become.
Indeed.
And I don't know if I was being cruel. Other people said, I think, Russ, you're right. Other people disagree. And I said, you know, he's a grown-up man. He's much older than my twins are. They're 24 now, but he's a grown-up man. And you have to say, yes, this was a really shit thing that happened. It was horrible, but I've got the rest of my life to live. You know?
Exactly.
You can't let it define you.
Exactly. I think sometimes we don't know we have a choice. I think when I studied NLP, that one of the big things was that we've all got our own individual map of the world, and they tend to be very limited and very small, basically based on what we've experienced growing up. We form our beliefs, and then our beliefs kind of become our reality. And it's like looking at the world through a very limited lens. And part of the NLP process is to show people that they've got a much bigger smorgasbord of choices, where having more choice is better than having less choice. And we've all got a lot more choice than we think we have, unless we don't think we do. And if we don't think we do, we won't see anything. There could be a million possibilities in front of us, but we won't see it. It's just being open to greater choices, and to know you do have the power to choose, even with something as bad as that. Not saying it won't be emotional.
Well, what John Yates is saying, I think it's how their mum died, i.e. in the Paris tunnel. And the conspirators say, well, she was murdered. And I go, no, if you're driving in a tunnel which is designed for 25 miles an hour and you're driving at 90 miles an hour plus, it's not going to end well. Kimmy Lashmar says this, surely this stiff upper lip thing should fizzle out. The next generation to become even more understanding. It's got to be easier to talk now than, say, during World War. Well, you know,
I've noticed this with the new generation, with the 20-somethings. And it seems to me they're a lot more, and I love seeing this, aware about mental health. They say, oh, my mental health, I'm going to do this for my mental health. My mental health is affected, implying that it's a thing, and they have some kind of input and choice and volition in the matter. When I was growing up, it was just like, oh, you got mentally ill, it's just bad luck. You know, you got cancer, bad luck. Now we know there's things you can do to prevent it, and it seems to be the same with the 20-somethings with the mental health thing, which I think is wonderful.
I've got to say that I think, especially the last 2 years, I think more men are actually seeing the light and realizing you are allowed to say how you feel. It's not easy for lots of cultural reasons as well. And I have had experience of some girls losing their mother at a young age, and they're both doing well, but it didn't define their lives, which was wonderful. No. And Neil recently met them, so
they're great kids.
Dad. So you did the right thing, Russ. You're, from what I don't know you very well, but your daughters and your children have grown up to be perfectly sound people doing wonderful things.
Well, I had a lot of help, number from somebody very special, and the other things, let's not pretend there's been some huge bumps in the road. I mean, you're never going to come through a disaster like that unscathed. It's just not possible. And if you think, yeah, I'm fine, and it hits you when you least expect it.
Yes,
and they've both had some.
They've both
had some many years later. They've both had some huge bumps in the road that were very difficult, but they're through the other side, and that's okay. Thank goodness. But it will affect. I get that. And Linda Dave's point about Prince Harry, which I don't delve to. I know I brought it up, but everything was reported in the papers and in the media for Harry, and I think reading all the terrible things that were reported in the papers made it worse, probably. But he was quite young, so I hope it went in one. I'm hoping it went in one ear and out the other. Who knows?
Russ,
I think one of the biggest.
I'm going to have to shoot now because I've got to prep for a meeting at 1. Sorry.
Oh, all right, Lee. We let's have you on as a special guest when you're ready. When you're ready at your time.
Yeah.
Let us know. We'd love to have you on, Lee. And thanks for coming on and sharing. It's been great. What a lovely show this has turned out to be, Lee. Great to have met you, mate.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you very much. Bye. There you go. See, you can just come on now, and that will be great. So you were saying, Ken.
I think men still find it difficult to find resources to help them, and but it's getting easier. And I think that's the most important thing. Even older men are finally realizing. I found out after his death, my grandfather had some literally the worst experience you could ever have in the Second World War, and he never spoke of it. He was a very calm man, but he suffered nightmares for 40 years after what he had to go in and witness and clear up.
Well, that's PTSD, or they'd have called it shell shock in his day, wouldn't they? We call it PTSD now, but I think we're starting to understand more and more about that now. I know many people that are trauma-informed therapists. Here's an interesting one, Russ. Do you remember Lula Bentz from Capital? Lula Bentz from Events. It was Lou and Charlotte and all of that. Anyway, she's a therapist now.
Sorry, yes, I do. Now you've said it. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, of course I do. I'm going mad. Yes.
Yeah. She was recently interviewed on one of my clients' podcasts. Yeah, and it's all about her therapy, and she's now a trauma-informed therapist. Amazing lady.
Can you imagine, Ken, if you were one of the Allied troops and you entered Auschwitz or Belsen or any
actually my grandfather entered
is it Treblinka?
It gets me.
Yeah, I know.
He was one of the first guys to go into Belsen.
Oh, Jesus!
And he was
Christ.
driving lorries, and I remember going into the Army Museum, and they've got a display of a death camp, and up on the wall there's a picture of a man on a bulldozer, and I think it was my grandfather, and I can't.
How do you ever, because remember something, and for what this never gets said, because it's obviously all the people in the camps, unimaginable horror by the Germans. I don't call them the Nazis, I call them the Germans. There's no country called Nazi land. They were Germans. That's what they were. So, but for the people who didn't know about it, they would not have been expecting this. They would have thought there was a prisoner of war camp. Perhaps they wouldn't have been told they were and so if you're a British trooper, an American trooper, and you're going in, you think we're going to a prisoner of war camp, it won't be great. And then they're confronted by the unimaginable horror of any of these hellholes. How the hell anybody ever recovered from that, I don't know.
The one effect it did have on him. The one effect it did have on him was that he got over the nightmares gradually. The one effect it did have on him, no one could remember him ever losing his temper about anything since the mid-1950s. And that was when he just got mildly agitated, and he died in the 90s. So he must have processed it in a way that nothing in life after that is important.
Yeah.
And the
good news is there are some quite advanced treatments now for people with PTSD.
And I wish I could live up to that standard, and I've failed most days.
No, you haven't failed. Hey,
not at all, Ken. You do put yourself
Ken.
down an awful lot, Ken, and I wish you'd stop doing it.
No,
you're
Ken,
a great guy.
You haven't failed.
No, I meant on the fact that I anyway, we're running out of time on the show.
Ken. Oh, yeah, we are. That's it. We're out of time. I hope you've enjoyed it. It was a bit of an experiment. It seemed everybody loved it. Thank you.
Yeah, we should do that again.
We will do it. I'm going to try and do that. Thank you, Ken. Bless you. Thank you, Lee. Right. We'll be back, Neil and I, on Wednesday. Till then, stay out of trouble.